Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now we're going to talk about ways to make sex more fun, more intense, and more intimate, along with other things that go along with that. Now, everybody thinks at one point in time you're going to have better sex or better orgasm. And for those of you who already have it, congrats. But there are those who do not and are still looking for that ultimate partner sex encounter and that added everything. So, let's see what we can do here. Well, we want to grow your relationship. This is the overall thing when it comes to that sexual encounter. If you plan on being with this person for a long time. Other than that, just have a fling and, do it your way. Because you're the one that's going to have to enjoy it or be able to enjoy it. Now, when we're looking for more fun or intensity and or intimacy with our sex, we must define what intimacy means to ourselves, as well as your partners need to do it for them. This is a very serious question. You gotta talk about it with your partner because it allows you to know how your partner is feeling and also let your partner know how you're feeling. And by asking these questions and what this intimacy means to you and how it's to affect your relationship with your partner. So, asking all those questions, why, the who, what, whys, and whens, always works. We all want to know. It has something to do with, that emotional connection, that the goal of your, not so much a goal or where you want to be in the relationship. To set yourself up for success. And that goes for both partners in the relationship, because you want sex to be good. If you want to have that intense sex, you have to have the right atmosphere for the connection. It's very hard to, bond with your partner when the cell phone is going or environmental distractions and stimuli is occupying your mind more than your your relationship with your partner. I mean, it could come down to the family, distractions as well. It doesn't always have to be something that is an outside thing or outside environment. You need to create the time, the space, the place for that intimacy, because that's what's going to help you to build it with your partner. Talk during sex. And this is, as I've talked about before, there are all ways to talk during sex. You want to be able to let your partner know what it is that's going to turn up the heat in that sexual act right then and there. Or the both of you. I mean, it's your body, you know it. Tell them they're learning it. What gets you heated up sexually? Talk during that sex time, because you could be sitting there not liking something your partner does, but you're just letting it happen, basically. It's almost like that kid that continues to poke, and no one ever tells them to stop. So they continue to poke. And it goes with adults. We are not infallible to that, but it is there. You want to make eye contact. Always a turn on. And it's a real intensity, because you're like staring into each other's souls, basically. And it's a way of, getting that feeling like you're on the same page when it comes to sex, and during and, before, during, and after. But really important during sex. It is something that it can be thought of as funny, or you can have giggles, but it's when you are holding eye contact with your partner, it's considered one of the fastest paths to more intimacy, because, like I said, you're staring into their souls as they're staring into yours, and you're kind of sort of realizing that that eye contact is that unspoken word that you really are in tune with your partner, and the sex is good. So, and you even want to do it, some people like to be watching each other while you are coming to your orgasm, because they like to see, that you're enjoying it, not, see the facial expressions on your face. Sometimes people make some funny faces, other times it's not. It is an intensity, and it allows your partner to know that you are enjoying it and what your partner is doing to you sexually. So, yes, that orgasm is a telltale sign, but there are other ways as well. The eyes are the windows to the soul, as they say. And that still kind of sort of holds true. So, another way, we say this all the time, and some people will get up and say, no, don't turn on the lights. But turn on the lights, because in the dark, you don't really see everything. And boy, can we get away with a lot of stuff. Doesn't matter who you are in the dark. Oh, they can't see that, so don't even worry about it. They, what they're doing is they're gonna love me just the way I am, or, sex is gonna be great just the way it is. They don't have to see anything. Well, if this is the person you plan to be with for the rest of your life, turn on those damn lights, because that is a way of letting your partner know that you opened up to let them see the whole you, and especially during sex. And you're really, it's a real intimacy builder. So it's really, really fun. There are ways you can do it with just candles. Just make sure you don't burn yourself or set the place on fire. Be very, very careful. We don't want Smokey the Bear there. But yes, do turn on the lights. It is allowing you to see your partner's body as a whole. Yes, you've felt that penis go into your vagina if you're the female receiving, or it's the opposite with, your partner. They've felt you, but not once have they seen you. They've basically been poking around at your vagina in the dark. So you turn on those lights. Don't be afraid, because it is such a way of becoming more intimate. And also, it can be fun. But you have a tendency, if you have questions and you're learning about, body parts, or it's really funny. You may see a mark on your partner that you never saw before, and you're curious, how did they get that? Ask them. If they have tattoos, ask about the history. But sit there, you're exploring their bodies, and they will do the same to you. So do keep lines of communications open. So let's take a break here, and when I come back, we will continue out the ways in which we can make sex fun, more intense, and more intimate. So go get that drink, get that snack, come back, get relaxed. I'll meet you back here and talk more sex.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host, Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, welcome back, all you out there, as we continue our sex talk on ways to make sex fun, more intense, and more intimate. Now, we last left off with eye contact and maintaining that during sex, which is an extreme intimacy builder. There's also some intensity into that, because as it goes, the eyes are the windows to the soul, and they're looking at your partner during sex as they are looking at you. You can feel that bond that is there and that is building. So that is always a good thing, to maintain eye contact with your partner during sex. As you're maintaining eye contact with your partner, come together with your breathing. Synchronize your breathing. If you're off, or you feel that you're not synchronized with your partner's breathing, catch yourself and then figure out how the breathing is, and then go with the flow. But maintaining and synchronizing your breathing is totally more intimate, and throwing in that intensity factor as well. It makes you feel as though you are quite close. I mean, you can do this also by placing your hand over your partner's heart and just feeling the thumping of his body as he's thrusting, or, going back and forth, inside of you. And that is an extreme tensity, because now you are in sync with his breathing. You are in sync with eye contact, and the both of you are now feeling and getting to that peak to just hit the top with your orgasms. And at that point, you probably can orgasm at the same time, which is such a bond within itself. A lot of people do like to wait so that both, at times you want to see your partner just do it. Just have that orgasm and you want to observe. But this breathing and intensity, you could probably still do it while you watch. If your breathing is together and the eye contact is there while you're watching your partner masturbate, it's a turn on. It is very intense, and it grows with intimacy because it's an act that they are showing you how to pleasure them by doing it themselves in front of you and allowing you to watch. Another way to build your sexual fun, intensity, and intimacy is you play with power dynamics. It is a very broad term, but it's more of basically entailing one partner being in charge and the other ceding control. So a little bit of dominance there, or just allowing that your partner knows what they're doing, and you like what they're doing, and they take charge of what is going on. There are different ways to go about this. Like I said, it could go all the way up to full dominance, BDSM, or it could just be, and with that you get full submission. Here it could be just like a lower level of submission, but allowing that person to be the boss of that particular sex act at that moment between you two. There are boundaries. Again, always have a safe word, because if you start to like it and it does build that up, then hey, if you like it, do it. If you get to a point where there is something that you don't like, this is where the safe word comes in. You can allow them to blindfold you only. You could allow them to tie your hands to the bedpost. Little things like that will allow you to open up and let your partner do that. Now, the next way of having more fun with sex or building that intimacy is by just don't even go into it thinking it comes with sex, yes, but that seems to be the only thing why sex is being actually sought after. Take it off the table. Don't it. Have your partner focus on something and, make it sexual with no orgasm. It's tricky and it is a challenge, but it is something that will build up those aspects that you want to in your sexual relationship. other things like changing the tempo. And there are times when you want it to be a little rough. There are times when you want it to remain very slow, sweet, and sensual. And there are days, let your partner know. You might want to, there's a really weird, there's different ways of looking at this. You can either want that real quickie, or you can want, let's make a date night out of it. It's there. You gotta know when to do it and to not allow yourself to be fallen only into sex for the sole purpose of the orgasm. Although I know a lot of you out there are thinking, isn't that what sex is all about? Yes, technically it's getting your partner to the orgasm, but if this is a person that you are looking to be with, well then, you need that. I mean, in younger days, that was the ultimate thing. You didn't, like some people do now, you didn't, it was more of a courtship, and a longer courtship, the better built your relationship, you being with that person. Your mind wasn't on the sex. It was more on being with that individual, and this is where this comes in. You built your relationship up with this. So you need to really think about how or what you want out of this relationship. If it's just purely sex, there's where the fun factor is. Eat it up. Figuratively and literally. As I said, masturbate in front of each other. Get your partner to see what turns you on. And they may even be watching you masturbate and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that touching there. They're thinking it. They're thinking it. They're not saying out in the, right out their mouth. They're actually thinking about it. They're like, she's touching there, or he's touching there. I never thought to, not a fact I never thought to do that, didn't think that they'd like it. Or, I see how they're doing it. Oh my God, I can intensify this. I can bring it up a notch. But that's the whole thing about masturbating in front of each other. After a while, they do end up touching and intensifying because you've gotten your partner quite hot through all of this. So don't ever think that your masturbation is just for pure pleasure of your partner. You are driving them crazy. So now, one of the big things is here, and above all else, invite that vulnerability into that sexual act. A lot of people will go back in and they'll invert when they feel vulnerable. In this particular situation, do invite it in. It's actually a good thing. It's allowing you to trust each other and respect and explore each other's boundaries. And it allows you to show your full self to each other. So it creates, and it is the best way to create that intimacy with that. Again, when it comes out to sex, because you've allowed a bit of a vulnerability in, so that your partner sees, and now you've made them part of it as well. So we're going to take another break here. Replenish that drink, replenish that snack, come back, get relaxed, if that is a word, or get comfortable again, and I'll be back to talk more sex.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome to the GSMC Sex Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, with your host Andra, where the topic about sex is from the point of view of an older woman. Now, keeping on the topic of maintaining sexual fun and intensifying or more intensity and more intimacy, we're going to talk about how to have more intense sex, which is always some of the fun times or some of the best times during sex. Now, the first way you can do this or look this into your sexual evening is what is called edging. And what it does, what you or your partner are doing is getting you so hot and bothered, or you're getting your partner so hot and bothered, and just to the almost peak of orgasm with teasing and foreplay and working them all up, and you stop. And then you stop back up again and do it again. You do it so much where you're building, and then you stop, and they come down, and you want to know why you stopped. Continue to do that to the point where you just can't stop it. You can't stop that orgasm from coming. You have gotten to that point where it's like, it can't go on like this anymore. It gets the intensity of getting your partner to that particular point where they're right there on the verge of orgasm, and you stop. And then you build them up again and stop. They're going to get to that point, or you're going to get to that point where you can't handle it anymore. I mean, it's a way of making it hotter and hotter in that sexual act. It's really, really hot. So, and it's a tease, it's a play, but it intensifies it. And when when you finally allow them to go beyond and actually have that orgasm is going to be so intense. Hence the word intensity. Now, here's another way you can, do this, is savoring. Well, it's taking the time to warm up, meaning use foreplay, use tease, use everything. You're savoring each touch and sensation within the foreplay. You are actually intensifying or magnifying the physical and emotional experience. It is all about this, all wrapped up in oneness, where your mind is. That is what the goal is in this act. And basically sitting in the moment with it and just continue, warm it up. Get all hot and bothered and get that your partner there. I mean, this is how you can do this. You can set a timer for 30 minutes, and both of you can agree that this length of time you can actually do anything to each other. And this is other than kiss and touch. So you can try different things. Eliminating the kiss and the touch. How's that? Let's start with that. We're going to eliminate the kiss and the touch. Or you could have it where you can only use your hands, and there must not be any penetration at all, because we are warming up. We are getting intensified through warming up, through foreplay, through the tease, everything that's leading up to that. Just kissing each other's body, feeling each other's naked body, just getting really involved in your partner and getting them to a level of peakness where all they want to do is just basically go jump in and start humping you, or just have that sexual penetration and thrusting back and forth, because you've got to, it becomes it. By doing this, it will heighten it's a heightened anticipation for the sexual act. And once you get into that act, I mean, it's like you're sitting there wondering, oh my God, how will it be? And that is where it's at. I can't, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get into bed with you or have sex with you, because you've gotten yourself and your partner's gotten you so warmed up, so hot, that you are just ready to burst. So, again, another way to do this, like I said before, breathing in unison. Synchronize your breathing. Very, very important, because that's one of the things that does intensify that sexual act. It does take a little while. I mean, you can start by spooning each other. I mean, our bodies as human beings, if we're around somebody long enough, our bodies, the two bodies, will become sync with each other on things. I mean, the prime example, obviously, is women with their period. If it's a group of women always hanging together or being together and going out and everything, they generally at one point in time end up having their period all at the same time. Somehow their bodies, our bodies, naturally sync up that way. Well, sex is basically the same thing. Synchronize yourself. If you're with this person, your body, you know how they are. You're already intimate with them. Some people can go in and just automatically synchronize their breathing. Others are going to need assistance. I mean, start with spooning and cuddling. Sit nose to nose with your legs and look at each other. Feel each other's heartbeat. Put your hand on their heart, like I said earlier. This way you can feel. In a matter of fact, if this is the best way to do that, is if you put your hand on your partner and they put your partner's heart, and they put their hand on your heart, and together you're hearing each other's heartbeat, or feeling it. And that's just, it's really, really, it's a caressing sensation. And almost like the heartbeat is a kiss with each beat. Every time it beats, you're being kissed. So it is an admiration of things as well. But that, being in tune with your bodies, and you're allowing your partner to be in tune with your body as well, and vice versa, makes that ultimate sex act that's going to come later, and it's going to come, so intense. And that orgasm, it's being built. It's being built up. And I mean, when you feel your partner's heartbeat and they're feeling yours, it's a calming. It's actually a safety blanket for humans, because when we were in our mother's womb, the heartbeat soothed us. Her heartbeat would soothe us when we were there. So it's a calming thing. That's why when babies are born and you put them on your chest, you're actually feeling the vibration of your heart. So take that in mind and realize that it's a calming, it's a bonding, it's such an intense feeling. And just now synchronize your breathing with that, and you do it together. Like I said, there's spooning, cuddling, laying your head on their chest, vice versa. But this is a way to make that particular sex extremely intense. By this point, if this is your first time doing it, you start to learn things so that the next time, depending on how you want your sex, you can use this. And you'll be having that in the back of your head until your next, sexual encounter, because you are feeling more intimate, more, and there was such an intensity there that you can't deny it, and you're always going to be thinking of it. Well, that is the end of my show. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope all is well with everyone during our present COVID situation. They are opening up businesses, which is pretty cool, although still a little edgy on the times and stuff, but do enjoy. And as always, please practice safe sex, if not for your partner, for yourself. Until next time, when we talk about sex again, ta-ta for now.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Sex Podcast.